Hi everyone, Amanda Bach here. For today's presentation, I will be discussing alternative keyboards as a tool for assistive technology device that is used in the classroom. This presentation will cover what assistive technology is and what it looks like in the classroom, different types of alternative keyboards with price points and system requirements, key takeaways from the effectiveness of using alternative keyboards in the classroom, and lastly, I will provide a link to a handout that provides information regarding alternative keyboards. Alternative keyboards. Section 1401 of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, defines assistive technology devices, meaning any item, piece of equipment, or product system, whether acquired commercially, off-the-shelf, modified, or customized, that is used to create, maintain, or improve functional capabilities of a child with disability. As previously mentioned, for my presentation, I will focus on alternative keyboards. So what are they? Alternative keyboards are any keyboard that supplements a traditional keyboard and aids users in ease of use and minimalization of musculoskeletal pain. It's important to keep in mind that as adults we go into the workplace and there's a lot of consideration when looking at the ergonomics of an office to make it as comfortable and efficient as possible for work production. Synonyms of ergonomics mean suitable, user-friendly, comfortable, comfortable design, ease of use, among other things. Therefore, when it comes to children in school, the classroom is their workplace and their learning output is their work output. To add to the argument of assistive technology devices to assist students as classrooms move into a technology-driven workspace, to be compliant with the IDEA, students have the right to learn in the least restrictive environment, and to achieve such, it might require modifications to what mainstream students receive. So looking at this idea as a whole, it reasons that examining the ergonomics of using a keyboard that meets all of these needs as a student with disability is equally important as an adult in the work environment. The first type of alternative keyboard is the ergonomic keyboard, or a keyboard with a setup for a more natural hand and wrist positioning. They are used to improve posture of arms, wrists, and hands while typing. It can be helpful for students or anyone really who is susceptible to RSIs, or what is referred to as a repetitive strain injury in the wrists and the fingers. This type of keyboard is good for students who might fatigue easily while typing, are prone to pain, or have limited mobility in the wrist and fingers from RSI or other debilitating ailment. Ergonomic keyboards come in different layouts. Here are the top ergonomic keyboards rated from David Neild in an article he published with T3 magazine. There is the Fellows Microband Split design, which is a bit tented in the middle, so hands and wrists do not need to sit right above the keys, but the hands can sort of lay naturally. Amazon sells those for about $45. The next is the Kinesis Advantage 2 ergonomic, which is more convenient for users with limited wrist mobility. Its downfall is the price point. It's $340 on Amazon, but as you can see, the keys are strategically placed and they are color-coded for easy visibility. And to attempt to reduce keystroke error, they've kind of placed the more common and control function keys in the middle of the keyboard. The last one is the Kinesis Freestyle 2 keyboard that actually comes apart in the center. So for users who have a difficult time attending to tasks at midline, such as typing, or in front of them while holding their arms out right down the middle, they can move the right and left side of the keyboard that is also tented to better suit their comfort and needs while they're typing. This keyboard is $135 on Amazon, and although I feel it is a bit pricey, it does offer options at a fairly reasonable cost. The great thing about keyboards is that they are often used in conjunction with computers, and most of these keyboards are compatible with USBs. They do come wireless or are wired, and they are compatible with Microsoft, Windows 7, and Mac computers. Another type of keyboard that is commonly used as an alternative in the classroom is the Big Keys keyboard. Due to the larger lettering size on keys, it helps visually impaired or students who have difficulty locating keys in general on the keyboard, which simultaneously aids in reducing keystroke errors when typing. As with the ergonomic keyboard, Big Keys keyboard also takes into consideration comfort and styling to aid users who might suffer from RSIs. These keyboards are good for students who have visual deficiency or may have acuity and dexterity delays, are unable to type on a traditional keyboard without significant errors or constant repetition of hitting the same button over and over again. They do come brightly colored, and they help with visibility in low light environments. Here are some examples of big key keyboards. As you can see, the letters are enlarged, bolded, and contrasted to aid in ease of visibility. The Big Blue Vision Board is the most expensive I came across on abilitynet.org at $140. On ergoguys.com, their most popular big key keyboards are the high visibility large print soft key keyboard, which comes in just shy of $30, and the AbleNet Kinderboard large key wired USB keyboard is a little bit more expensive at $90. But one thing I do like about the AbleNet Kinderboard is the color coding of the keys to help aid students in remembering locations of letters, identifying vowels, which are shown here in purple, consonants in green, numbers in red, special characters in yellow, and control buttons in blue. Many of these keyboards plug in using a USB. They are wireless, or they can have wires, and they work off Bluetooth. They are compatible with Microsoft, Windows, and Mac compatibility. Although for the AbleNet Kinderboard, I did come across a review that said not all the function keys worked on the Mac system, so that's something to take into consideration, especially when you're looking at spending $90. The learning curve to learn how to use these types of keyboards compared to traditional is very small, since they do, for the most part, resemble what a traditional keyboard looks like. They are soft touch, which means you don't need to apply a lot of pressure on the keys in order to make them effective, which also reduces the strain on the fingers and the wrist movement as you're typing. Speaking of applying pressure to press the keys, the next type of alternative keyboard is the membrane keyboard. This keyboard is essentially a board covered with a thin membrane that requires very little pressure to press a key. It comes with various overlays to meet students' needs depending on what programs they are working in. Likewise, it has built-in features allowing users with the most severe disabilities the ability to use it due to the overlay options, meaning that you can make them so that they are customizable to whatever program that they are working on their computers. The most common type of membrane keyboard is the Help keys, or which is very similar to the IntelliKeys keyboard, both of which are being shown here. As you can see, it does have plugs, and it also does plug in with a USB, but there are wireless options available. It is Microsoft Windows 7 and Mac compatible. There is a learning curve to using these because it doesn't take a lot of pressure to hit the keys. We just need to be mindful when students are using them that they know to only hit it one time and to make sure that it is going through. And the other unique thing about the IntelliKeys keyboard is that it offers jacks so that other assistive technology devices can be used in conjunction with it, such as switches and joysticks and other mice alternatives. The price point for these types of devices range from about $300 to $450 for the actual keyboard, and then roughly $65 for each overlay, so they are very costly. However, the benefits to these types of keyboards that allow anyone, even those with the most severe physical and cognitive disabilities, to use technology devices in the classroom, I believe are warranted. In my research, there's a lot of praise about the effectiveness of using IntelliKeys or HelpKeys in the classroom, but it appears as though IntelliKeys is no longer being sold, and a device called HelpKeys has essentially replaced it. Other types of keyboards and keyboard devices that are readily available are key guards, which is a silicone or a plastic overlay that guards the keys to reduce erroneous keystroke on standard or big key keyboards. There are compact keyboards, which are useful for individuals who may type one-handed, or they need them as an extension to an iPad. There's also something called a Kid Guard keyboard, which is similar to the big key keyboards in that they are color-coded. It's like an overlay that color-codes the keyboard for ease of learning where the key locations are. There are also on-screen keyboards that can be used for typing. This type of keyboard would be useful on a tablet or an iPad device rather than writing digitally. The cost depends on the model. Obviously, if you're using a built-in keyboard that's on screen, most often it's built right into your program, so that's free. But the cost really depends on the model, design, the manufacturer, and most can be purchased for around less than $100. They are also compatible with most Windows and Mac operating systems as long as the keyboard is compatible. I want to share some reviews of these products that I came across. The first one is about HelpaKeys. HelpaKeys by Zytec accommodates users who have physical disabilities and also caters to users who have learning difficulties. The device will be well received in schools, centers, day training centers, and in homes, as it also includes a programmable 5-switch interface that can also be used for mouse control and for access to software. It is able to assist those with physical limitations by creating customizable overlays that are easily accessible with one hand, and has options for docks for switches and other accessories to be used simultaneously with it. This is a review from Jerry Kennedy, IT consultant, that he wrote back in 2011. And then the second is for the Big Key keyboards. Big Keys has been in business for the last 20 years. The previous version of the keyboard was a PS2 connection, and the Win98 computer it was attached to finally failed, but the keyboard never did. The user of this keyboard had multiple sclerosis, and the Big Keys are perfect for him, allowing him to continue communicating with his friends, coworkers, and family. I specifically put this review in here, even though it's not necessarily catered to students per se. But as classrooms move into the 21st century with their technology and using online intranets and teachers requiring students to email them with questions or any comments and to email them with assignments, I found that this was appropriate because it shows that even with somebody with Parkinson's, or not Parkinson's, but multiple sclerosis, was able to use technology by using this keyboard. So, in conclusion, although the concept of using an alternative keyboard in the classroom is not novel, it is important to recognize that as computer programs and softwares advance, the assistive technology must keep up in terms of being compatible with the operating system of the computer device, or else the student will probably be lacking because they won't be able to have access to the same programs as their peers, and that is not in line with teaching them the least restrictive environment. Here is a link to a handout. Which here, I'll just go through it right here. Which kind of goes through and talks about the different types of keyboards. It shows you pictures. I have the different price points on here, system requirements. Since we're talking about keyboards, there really is no program per se, as long as it's compatible with Windows or Mac. And I did include my short bibliography here, but it is also available on Canva, and I will include the link. My references. Thanks for listening.